At 11, flood emergencies, punishing winds, and multiple tornadoes. Tonight, Hurricane Milton makes landfall as a Category 3 storm. As we've just learned, it has already claimed lives. Good evening. I'm Christine Johnson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. And hours after making landfall as a Cat 3 storm, Milton is carving out a devastating path across the state of Florida. Here's a live look now. Fort Myers, which is seeing all kinds of rain and winds.
Milton officially made landfall around 8:30 tonight near Siesta Key, just south of Sarasota. It is now a Category 2 storm, but is still producing wind gusts over 100 miles per hour. And tonight, the St. Lucie County Sheriff is confirming multiple deaths in Fort Pierce. Search and rescue efforts are now currently underway, and more than 1.5 million customers are without power. Now, Tampa avoided a direct hit, but flash flooding is a huge concern there. The storm spawned nearly 24 tornadoes earlier in the day.
We have team coverage of Hurricane Milton. Let's get straight to senior national weather correspondent Rob Marciano in Bradenton, Florida. And Rob, take us through it all. Like, what's it about? What's it feel like right now?
Well, Maurice, we're on the back side of the eye. The eye already came through about an hour and a half ago, and the winds have ramped right back up. So we had winds that gusted over 100 miles an hour in the front side eye wall. And this is what it did to this wall that we were actually using to protect our gear and brace our cameraman against. And luckily he was on that side of the wall and not this side of the wall, because you see what those winds did there. So no doubt there's all sorts of damage all over this part of the county. The landfall of the hurricane coming just about 5 miles due west of us. So that's what we endured in anticipation of the eye. We had some calm in the eye, and now we've got this again. So even though we're not seeing a lot of heavy rain because dry air is wrapped in, we're getting intense winds again, damaging winds again, and we're going to have this for the next couple of hours. The center moving towards just south of Tampa, which is getting the worst of it. St. Pete to Tampa, up I-4, flooding rains and high winds for the next several hours. We are not done with this, and we won't be till well into tomorrow morning.
Rob, you mentioned being in the eye. Tell us what it was like. What did you feel? What did you see? What did you hear?
Well, it's a surreal experience, I'll tell you that, Christine. I've been through a couple of them, and you get goosebumps, quite honestly, because you're in this very intense, very tumultuous, a terrifying event in the way of the winds that are damaging, and then all of a sudden the winds start to drip off, and it goes completely calm. The bugs are flying around. You hear birds chirping. It's completely quiet. And it was like that for like 30 or 40 minutes. People were coming out of this hotel to walk their dogs, take that opportunity because they've been cooped up in all day. Just take it all in and then go back inside. You couldn't see stars. It wasn't that clear, but it was calm for over a half an hour. Surreal experience. It's cool to experience for sure, but you realize the force on both sides of this and what it's doing to the communities that this storm is impacting. That's the heartbreaking part of it.
Rob, just one more thing real quick here. I'm wondering how this experience compares to what you were expecting.
Yeah, it's a good question, Maurice. I was expecting the worst of it, and this is it's right there with it. You know, when it went to Cat 5, 180-mile-an-hour winds, your expectations go, oh my goodness, this is going to be the end of the world. Thankfully, it decreased somewhat, but this is a ferocious storm. As a Cat 3, now a Cat 2, eventually a Cat 1. It's done everything that a hurricane can do: tornadoes, flash flooding, storm surge, and damaging wind. This storm has had it all.
And Rob, as you well know, it's going to become more clear when daylight happens tomorrow. Thank you for that live report. Rob Marciano, our national weather correspondent, reporting from Bradenton.
Yeah, really brought it home. You got a good feel for it tonight.
Rob, thanks.
You bet. Let's check in with Lonnie right now to see the latest on the track of Milton, as predicted pretty much. Lonnie?
Yeah, it kind of made a little wobble to the south. At one point, all eyes on Tampa. Tampa would have been the worst case scenario because of the topography of the bay. One way in, no way out. That would have just been really horrible. Hurricane Milton is now a Category 2. The winds are at 105 miles per hour. We expected that. Okay, as far as intensity is concerned, we knew when it was a Cat 5 it would get a little weaker as it got closer and closer to shore. It's played out perfectly, came on shore as a Cat 3. That's a major hurricane. Cat 2 right now. And if you take a look at how it all fared in Tampa. Now, that's that topography I talk about. If all of that water had been pushed into that outlet, or that inlet, excuse me, it would have been horrible. As it turns out, you ready for this, people? The tide level right now in Tampa is lower than it should be, lower than normal, because the water is getting pushed out to sea. And if you follow where the real storm surge is, now it's right here, the southern portion of the eye. That would be like, I'll zoom in a little tight there. It's Fort Myers. I know Port Charlotte is also on that bay. This is where we're going to see the potential for 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. I do think that's going to be verifying out there. If you take a look at how the track is forecast to play out, you know, Maurice, you were talking to me, how long to make its way from one coast to the other? About 12 hours. I would say by 8 a.m. it's pushing offshore as a Cat 1 somewhere around Cape Canaveral, but this does not make a turn and come to the northeast. This one fades away out in the middle of the ocean. Guys, I'll have more coming up a little bit later. It's all yours.
Okay, Lonnie, thank you.
Officials have been warning residents to move inland, but some are choosing to ride out the dangerous storm.
Flash flood emergency is in effect for the Tampa area as torrential rain and intense winds are still battering the region. Dick Brennan joins us now with what so many people down there are dealing with tonight. Dick.
A lot to deal with, Maurice and Christine. As if the hurricane isn't enough, tonight people in Florida are cleaning up from deadly tornadoes on both the east and west coasts of Florida. This has so many hope to make it just through the night. Right now, Milton's raging rain and whipping winds are pummeling Florida's Gulf Coast, flooding roads and creating treacherous conditions for anyone who dared to venture out. Some hunkered down in their homes.
We could lose power any second.
Sarah Lutzker of Long Island moved to St. Petersburg just 2 months ago.
It's pretty scary. We see transformers glowing everywhere, so we're just kind of hunkering down. And we expected storms and sunshine, but I don't think we expected like two hurricanes in less than 10 days.
Some have no choice but to stay put. Pediatric emergency doctor Megan Martin is working her usual shift at a hospital in St. Petersburg.
The wind is whipping. It is super loud. The rain is it's pounding the windows and the doors. We've had to kind of put towels up because some of the water is starting to just leak in from below.
The winds are triggering tornadoes. Florida has already experienced the most tornado warnings in a day on record. In St. Lucie County on the East Coast, tornadoes left a trail of death and destruction. Homes in Fort Myers were flattened.
All this happened like instantaneously.
This family was inside their home when the tornado touched down.
Hit the trees, and we all started going for the hallway. Didn't even make it there in time. Started doop doop, and I heard a piece of glass crack, and it sucked the whole roof off, and I felt the thing suck me up, and I grabbed my kid and my wife and hunkered down.
Despite the catastrophic forecasts, even some on exposed barrier islands say they won't leave.
We certainly fear the storms and the hurricanes. We just choose to ride it out.
Now we're getting new information as we speak. In Fort Pierce, Florida, the sheriff is confirming deaths at a retirement village believed to be caused by those tornadoes, but he could not provide those numbers. We will get you more information as we know it. Christina Maurice.
Okay, Dick, thank you.
And the storm is really striking a chord around here, and help is on the way from the tri-state area.
Alicia Reed reports now on the first responders heading south to save lives.
Within 24 hours of the call, a team from the 106th Rescue Wing was deployed to Florida.
Our primary mission here is readiness.
This unit of the New York Air National Guard specializes in combat search and rescue. One aircraft and a team of up to 24 made the trek on Wednesday.
They're trained on advanced trauma care, medicine, swift water and flood type rescue, boats, jumping out of aircraft, vehicles.
As the wrath of Hurricane Milton makes its way to Florida, 2 firefighters from the Hoboken Fire Department and Task Force 1 will be on the ground in North Carolina helping families still recovering from Hurricane Helene. AmeriCares in Stamford, Connecticut is currently putting together a 500-pound shipment of hygiene kits and medicine to aid low-income communities and the uninsured.
We want to help make sure that the survivors have access to their health care so that as they are starting the arduous process of recovery, their health is protected.
With the anticipated damage from Hurricane Milton, AmeriCares plans on sending a crew of people on Friday that will assist with on-the-ground needs of those affected. Alicia Reed, CBS News, New York.
And there will certainly be many more developments overnight with this storm. And our morning team will bring you all the very latest starting at 4:30 a.m. You can also get updates anytime on our website, cbsnewyork.com, and on the CBS News app.